Off top, as we get closer to the Super Bowl, I bet you don't know why we call it the Super Bowl. Well, the super part, obvious, because it's big and grand and super. But the bowl part is because the Rose Bowl, the first bowl game of them all, was played in Rose Bowl Stadium in Pasadena, California. Started out as I think an East-West competition game. Eventually, in the 30s, they started calling it or naming the Rose Bowl game after the stadium that they were playing in because it was shaped like a bowl. And then everybody else just copied and started calling their game a bowl. Play the music.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.
I didn't have much energy for that one. It's like, it's kind of interesting, but it was kind of a letdown when I looked it up, because I'd always kind of wondered, but never decided to look it up until this morning. And it was a little disappointing. Like, I don't know. I thought it was going to be some cool, long story. Like, nah, stadium shaped like a bowl. We call it a bowl. And everybody else did.
I kind of like it, though, because I've named, like, crappy touch football games with my cousin's bowls. So at least I had the same thought process as some random dude in the 1930s.
The Turkey Bowl. Yeah, good weekend. A fun weekend of football. I feel like the first thing I want to do is let's just appreciate Patrick Mahomes' first drive. Like, that was that I was trying to remember all the cool plays in that drive, and I think my favorite play in that opening drive was not even the most impressive. It was the sidearm RPO pass that he just held the pose. It just was so damn cool.
On that same thing, can we take a moment? Because obviously Mahomes, he got the full, like, heroic, we're going to, build a statue of Patrick Mahomes throwing a touchdown pass on his left leg, hopping, that type of thing. We know that'll happen. Yeah. But also a second for Travis Kelce from that game. And we'll get into all these games.
Absurd.
But he had more receptions than the rest of the Chiefs combined. And it was like Mahomes was compromised. And that dude just decided, oh, no, I can be like the best receiver on planet Earth and a safety valve at the same time for this team.
Yeah, I mean, it just exposed the thing that the Achilles heel, if you can say the offense of the Chiefs has one. It kind of exposed that for me. The stat that you pointed out, that he had more than everyone else. When the Jaguars actually did start to try to crowd the middle field a little bit right out of halftime, it was obvious that they just don't have anybody else.
Yeah,
like nobody else. Quick passes outside to Tony, like, he did some impressive things, but he wasn't like getting open down the field. The same for MVS and Juju Smith-Schuster. I know they're the best offense in the league by efficiency and scoring too. I think I understand all that. Patrick Mahomes is really great, but they need somebody at some point. They're going to need to go after a real legitimate number one threat, because it seemed to like they're compromised so often. And I'm sorry to rotate from talking about how great Travis Kelce was and also how amazing that jump pass was, to talking about the Chiefs' shortcomings after they had a big win. But that just kept hovering over this game to me. And it's probably a bit because it's something that I said would be a problem early in the season. So I'm looking to to support my own belief, but it just, I don't know. It's nobody over there is scary except for Travis Kelce.
I mean, that's like, I'm actually totally with you. Like, watching that Chiefs offense, to me, what jumped out is like Pacheco's obviously an explosive athlete. Mm-hmm. So is Kadarius Toney, but they aren't like precise operators yet within that offense. So they aren't creating the space before they get the ball. Like, they're just trying to get Kadarius the ball and be like, all right, now make something crazy happen. Right. And he can occasionally do that because he's a freak, but like, that's a very big change from when they were the Legion of Zoom and they had guys who you could not blink and they would be gone.
Yeah, it seems like the other teams, particularly the teams that are remaining, have at least one guy. Obviously, the Bengals have a couple guys in T. Higgins and Jamar Chase that you have to be concerned about. The Eagles too. They have a couple of guys and
like four.
AJ, yeah, at least receivers though. They got AJ and Devontae. And then the 49ers just have a slew of guys all over the field that could do all types of different things. And so I don't know.
think
I guess
this
will address
actually
this at some point.
proved your theory. One of the Domonique Foxworth theories, you've had a lot of correct
Awesome.
predictions on this pod, is that this was the year of the receiver, and that it's not just having one receiver, you need to stack them and have two, and that's what changes your offense. I think there's one exception that proves the rule, and that's Patrick Mahomes. If you have the most talented quarterback in the history of the NFL, you can probably support an offense that has less talent around him in theory. But other teams don't try and build that.
Are we lifting Joe Burrow to Patrick Mahomes status? Is he there now, or are we going to make the same mistake that we made last year with Josh Allen, where we kind of, I mean, I know everyone's going to pretend like they never did. And, but I was here. I remember when we all were saying Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and everybody else, like we were all doing that at one point. And now it's clear that we're not doing that anymore. But I feel like we're in the territory where we're going to start doing the same thing with Joe Burrow. Is that fair?
I'm really glad you asked that. And I want to ask you the same question, because I think we can agree that was the biggest come up for Joe Burrow and the worst loss for the Bills. And we should go through all of that. But to me, he's clearly 1B now above Josh Allen. And I don't think that's reactive. I think that's over 12 months of evidence, like minus the 3 games coming back from appendicitis. That dude is just nails in every big situation. And like, no, he's not Patrick Mahomes. He can't do like the freakish things that change the geometry of football, where like, Patrick Mahomes gets the Steph Curry comparisons because there's just, you have to play him completely differently. But he is like a perfect traditional quarterback. And that might be selling him short because pocket mobility and the way he plays like a really modern quarterback. But like the dude seems to always make the right decision. The higher leverage situation, he seems to always play better. So I don't know if you can say like he's Mahomes, but you can definitely say he's number 2 now above Allen.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think you're getting much pushback there, particularly how Allen's been playing lately. But we'll bring some structure to this podcast later with some questions or whatever. But I do for now just want to like meander around the playoffs a little bit and stick with Burrow for another second. Is another thing that I like to kind of talk about, and I think become more the conversation of the game, like the psychology of the game. It's impossible to measure right now. I don't know if we'll ever figure out how to measure it, but when people talk about momentum, that's the way that I can think of it so that it makes sense. Is like momentum is more just about like, all right, we're feeling good now, and maybe players play a little better when they're feeling good. But when it comes to Joe Burrow, there is a value to his cool. I don't get what anybody says.
Absolutely.
Like, there is a value to that can't necessarily be measured. And honestly, like if I want to tell the story of this game, it's not necessarily about Joe Burrow in particular. Like it's more about the offensive line running the ball well, honestly, and the Bengals going to Buffalo and playing the type of football that you have to play in Buffalo. And this is another kind of tangent to go off on, is this is where the analytics guys are wrong and like the stat nerds are wrong. Is like, and I'm partial to stat nerds, but, and again, this ties into the psychology of the game, is running the ball matters. It matters physically, not just psychologically, but it matters physically when you're and when you're in inclement weather or you're on a slippery surface. And also it matters when to give people breaks. And we talk about finding ways to take pressure off your quarterback and give him a couple plays here and there where he doesn't have to feel stress. Running the ball is doing the same thing for your offensive line, where they don't have to, and it's doing the same thing for your quarterback. And I think that was really the story of the game. When I look back at that game, there weren't like big, incredible, game-changing offensive plays from the Bengals. It was just like methodical.
I wanted to ask you about that because they're missing 3 offensive linemen. And the Bills defense at home in the snow, this team that was on track to be the number 1 seed, we compared them to the greatest show on turf. I'm going to say it, they looked soft playing the Bengals offensive line. That entire defense, they got mauled. And like part of the stuff with the offensive line and the running game, I'm sure, I mean, I knew this through Pop Warner football, and I'm sure it's the same through college. Like offensive linemen are taught to enjoy run blocking. That's when you get to maul and you get to have fun. It's almost like you got to pass the center of the ball in a basketball game so that they run the floor hard.
Yeah.
And like, I actually felt that with the Bengals. It's like, all right, we got some backups in here. Let's pound it down their throat and show them that you're tougher. And the offensive line coalesced around that. We have the Pied Piper like Burrow. That has to matter. It has to.
I can't imagine that playing offensive line in like modern NFL is all that fun, because like we all play sports because it's fun, but no one's at home like doing phantom kick slides in their basement because they love offensive line play. Like even my son, who like we haven't let him play tackle football, we're gonna push that off for quite some time, but like he wants to like tackle pillows or like run through pillows. Like it's not all about catching passes or touchdowns or interceptions. Like the physicality of the game is also attractive to all of us and we enjoy, but nobody wants to catch. Like nobody wants to kick slide and catch. Like no one's practiced that. We're not highlighting those blocks. It's not fun. It sucks. And I don't know. I mean, they get paid a lot, so that's one reason. But other than that, like, do they ever have fun? If you're running the ball, like that feels like when I talk to Jeff or talk to any offensive lineman, they care about getting to run somebody over. And frankly, I don't know, Christina, it's up to you if you beep this out or not, but they like to drag their nuts across players. Yeah, you're definitely gonna have to beep that. But that's something that they do often, is laugh about how they can run over somebody and do like sexually suggestive moves on top of other grown men. They don't want to kick slide and get bull rushed or humped or take a hump move like Micah Parsons gave out this weekend.
I mean, you play offensive line, you do thousands of hang cleans and deadlifts, you eat 35 peanut butter jelly sandwiches a day to maintain your weight, so that when you get to the second level, you can make a 240-pound linebacker look like a child and throw him out of the club. And I get it. That's not always the most efficient thing, but that is the only fun part about the position, starting from when you're 8 years old, I assume all the way through the NFL. I assume that it's even more extreme at the NFL level.
Yeah, I think the challenge of like holding down a big pass rusher or protecting, the challenge of that, I think, is probably attractive. And it's like afterwards, you like having blocked one of those guys, but you don't actually like Von Miller running at you.
Well, here's the example. So, and I promise to come back to the Bills, but like, you remember the play where Micah Parsons took McGlinchey and literally threw him?
Yeah, that hump move. That was the old Reggie White hump move. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
I guarantee you, in McGlinchey's head, he was like, I wish I could pull and effing level Micah Parsons, because I know with the head of steam that's not happening.
Yeah, and I was gonna like analogize it to like protecting the rim in basketball, but actually no, because you can get a big win protecting the rim in basketball. You can get like a crazy block, but like there is no like really highlight worthy way to block somebody. You just block them. You know, like
if you block a shot
not
in
on a
basketball game, if you block you feel like LeBron James at the end of game 7. Like, even if it's like someone just going up on a jump shot and you tip the ball, you're like, I'm the most athletic man alive. So yes, it's not the same.
But like protecting your quarterback and like blocking Micah Parsons, it's not like emphatic. Nothing about it is cool. Nothing about it is fun. But run blocking him and just driving him to the second level, amazing. Plowing over him, and then I don't know why I said Christina could choose whether to bleep it or not. Obviously, you can't say dragging your nuts across somebody, but it made you laugh. So
it's also the truth. It's the truth. It's how they convince kids. It's how they convince portly children like myself when I was at that age. This is going to be fun. This is where your athleticism comes through.
It is true. I mean, that's I don't know any other sports, but it's like the only sport, at least American sport, where like being a husky fella, we like celebrate. It's probably weird for the big kids who don't like football, because it's the same thing you do for tall kids. You're like, hey, I bet you love basketball, don't you? And like a little bit of a husky kid, you're like, hey, D-line, run stuffer, or hey, O-line, you can plow through them. And then it's like, that's all you're capable of with your body type. That's not fair. Poor kids.
But I mean, it's really the poor kids who have that body type but don't like contact. That's always the awkward one, because everyone plays with the kid that like that in some sport when they're a kid. And And then they just get called big for nothing. And you're like,
Yeah.
no, you're big for something, just not this.
All right. So the Burrow versus Mahomes conversation. I think obviously he's not going to jump Mahomes because there are some like major I guess hurdles, one being winning a Super Bowl, which I don't necessarily think
Well, that's the question.
Yeah.
Because if he beats Mahomes next week,
yeah,
that's 5 times in a row beating Patrick Mahomes. That's crazy. And then he'll be in the Super Bowl for the second straight year. And, it's a 1-game sample. No one would be shocked if they won that game. Then it becomes a conversation just based on results. It has to.
I mean, and he had the big comeback against Patrick Mahomes, except the thing is, when you go back and look at his biggest moments, he's been very good in those moments, but he doesn't have those kind of great moments like Patrick Mahomes, because like his comeback against the Chiefs last year was like littered with bad plays from him also. And it was really more a story of the Chiefs kind of blowing it. And we have like Mahomes' great comeback against Houston Texans, which was him blacking out. You have the great comeback in the Super Bowl to win, which was him throwing a ridiculous pass. You have the great loss in the Super Bowl where he's throwing amazing passes that are bouncing off people's face masks. And I think that those moments are going to stand out in our mind. He's, as unfair as it is, I think back to last year's run. And maybe I'm misremembering. You could enlighten me if you think of anything, but like those were good games from Joe Burrow, but it never felt like it was like, damn, Joe Burrow put this team on his back the way that we feel about Patrick Mahomes.
The thing is, though, he's rapidly evolving. Yeah. He's a much better football player this year.
That's true.
Coming back than he was last year. And so, if he lights it up, even the throw that didn't count yesterday to the back of the end zone to Chase, like that was a dime and an absurd catch. Like we might see some ridiculous highlights from those receivers and Burrow escaping the pocket against the Chiefs. Right. That could definitely change it. Like I'm not willing to write it off, but it'll actually take a heroic performance for me to reevaluate, the quarterback hierarchy. Cause it doesn't happen as much as you think. Like it was decades of Peyton and Brady and then a slight tier down Breeze. And now we have this new tier of guys, and to upset the apple cart, it's not just like, it won't just happen by winning. He's going to have to be the guy.
Right.
He's in a guy off. If he's the guy, then we can reevaluate.
All right. So I had a question that I wanted to like talk about with you is like who had the worst loss of the weekend. And I think we can quickly narrow it down to Bills or Cowboys. I like lean more to the Bills because they had home field advantage. They came in as big favorites. It's demoralizing, but honestly, like I feel the Cowboys were not favored in this game, and they were going all the way across the country. I think there's more reason to excuse the Cowboys' loss, but it feels more damning because this feels kind of like we're still in the early stages of the Bills window, and the Cowboys window, at least this coach, I don't know, and it kind of feels more defined also. Like we don't know how much better Josh Allen's going to get. We don't know the talent that they can get around him. For the Cowboys, some of this feels like so set in stone. Like Dak's not going to get better. Like this is who Dak is. I still think he's good enough to win the Super Bowl. He's not good enough to like take you past the number one defense in the league without much support. Like, I mean, it's not even fair. Like he had CD, he had Pollard for a little bit, but I think Patrick Mahomes wins that game. And
so for me, I broke it down based on worst loss for a team, worst loss for a player. For a team, it's to me the Cowboys. Right. And the reason I'll say that is you can't bring back this same cast. You cannot bring back McCarthy and Dak. I'm not doing we know the ceiling on this together. One of them has to split, or you can just be happy being in the divisional round for the next couple of years. Because Dak's a very good quarterback, right? Hovering around the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL, however you want to rank them. We all think he's very good. He's clearly above average, but he could have thrown 4 interceptions in that game. Yeah. They brought in Maher with them. That threw everything off kilter, and they played more aggressively. Tony Pollard broke his ankle and had a high ankle sprain, some ligament damage, and he was their best offensive player. Yeah. And the thing is, Dak, if you're going to be the $50 million quarterback, which he deserves based on the market and where he is in the league, in that salary range, it's also fair for us to expect you not to be a potential 4 interception guy in that game. He only threw 2, but he threw 2 off of other people's chests.
Right, yeah. I'm with you on that. I mean, that's why I'm surprised that I would say the worst loss for a team was the Bills, and the worst loss for a player was Dak. Like, I feel like Dak is walking away from this, like, kind of reaffirming a lot of people's priors about him. And he had the problem that we said was the only thing that he can't do was turn it over. And he did. He tried to do it more. He just had a really bad game in a big moment again. And that's a hard thing to overcome for him. But I feel like the Bills were Super Bowl favorites and had home field and put up 10 points. Like that's Josh Allen. You're supposed to be big, strong arm, super athlete. The snow is supposed to impact you less than it does anyone else. And I respect the idea that he didn't have anyone other than Stephon Diggs, and they didn't have a running attack all year. Like, I get all that, but which is why I'm not coming down on Josh as hard as I think like the criticism is going to come down on Dak. But I think as a team, this was supposed to be
they got to rebuild that team. Like, actually, they need more help. That defense and the secondary needs to get better. But the thing for me with Josh Allen is actually, like, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. Right. Like, he was compared to Patrick Mahomes. And, like, now that, even with the performance last year when they lost to the Chiefs, that's insane because his decision-making regressed without Daboll. He, like, scoring 10 points in a home game, like, the broadcast, and I think we're allowed to laugh about this. The broadcast continued talking about the emotional lift of Damar Hamlin in the crowd, and they kept showing the shot of him, and you couldn't even see it because of the snow. And they're like, "Oh," Tony Romo was like, "Oh, come on, Jim, just look at Damar there. The crowd's going crazy. The Bills have to feel this." And then it was like, "Okay, they're feeling this. That's 3 incompletions from Josh Allen. We're going to punt and get the ball shoved down our throat." And to me, it's just the standard we were holding Josh Allen to, and now there are actual questions now. Questions that I laughed at for the last year. There are questions about how good he will be in this situation.
Yeah. I mean, the Bengals are a better team than them, like top to bottom, and also like better at quarterback too, which is one thing that I didn't think we'd be saying about anybody against Josh Allen, that somebody was just clearly better than him. And like they outcoached him too. Like there was 1 3rd and 10 that was just a perfectly schemed response to a blitz that they got to Hayden Hurst that did like a check release and drew them into a blitz and got in flat and converted there at a pivotal time in the 3rd quarter. Like, it just made all the right decisions. And again, it wasn't like a fluke. It wasn't a big play here. It wasn't a big play there. When you rewatch that game, you just see that they just beat their ass like the whole game. And it's not at all what I expected. But yeah, is there any other questions you want to hit from the weekend?
So the one thing I want to ask you about is from that 49ers game is, do you think there are 2 things coming into their upcoming matchup? And obviously we'll get more into this on Thursday with the 49ers and Eagles, because I think that's actually a fascinating game because you look at what the 49ers did on offense, and it's like they were super conservative in the first half. Like, you could tell, and Christina's probably gonna have to bleep this too. You could tell Shanahan's sphincter was really
you could say that. You can say that. We don't want to give Christina extra work. You can say that. I'm putting my foot down. You can say tight sphincter.
Well, it might have hopefully loosened a little bit in the second half when we saw them being a little bit more aggressive. But I was a little bit more worried about Purdy in that first half than I have been the rest of that. But with that said, they're playing an Eagles team which answered every question, except for the fact that this Eagles team lost to Washington playing the exact way that the 49ers played in the second half, like running the ball that way. Yeah. How do you feel about this 49ers team going into the Eagles matchup? And it's a really broad question.
Using the Washington game is a nice little rhetorical trick. Because I remember that Washington game quite clearly. And the Eagles offense did some really like fluky things, turned over the ball a bunch of random times. I think the difference is in that game, Washington would have got their asses kicked if I think they had one deep pass that Jalen Hurts hit right on numbers that the receiver caught and then essentially handed it to the defensive back. There was another tip ball interception, I think, to tight end. There were like 3 ridiculous turnovers that were just like random things that never happened again. So I think that's what it comes down to. And I guess if you're the 49ers, you feel comfortable because you're not going to have your defense ripped apart in that way. But the challenging thing is the 49ers like to do a lot of zone, and like the RPO game and the quarterback run game are like going to be a challenge for them. They're going to have to like play above themselves, and they have the players that can do that, like not above themselves, above the scheme in some ways. In the way that Jalen Hurts looked last week, if he can maintain this level of sharpness, because it wasn't just going against that bad defense. Like he was on target. Like
he's insane.
There were tough passes to make, and he was just drilling them. So that's I'm still leaning more Eagles and 49ers, in part because I think that talent wise, both of these teams are pretty comparable, but the Eagles are going to have the home game and the better quarterback. And it's going to require some serious coaching. And I also saw in the situation that as good a offensive coordinator as Kyle Shanahan is, he is not always on top of in-game management the way that you would suspect. Yeah, you would suspect for somebody who's as smart as he is. And like, I think we celebrate passing the ball just before the 2-minute warning. That was a smart decision that he made. Yeah, but that's one. It's not all the other decisions. So I'm not sure that they get the advantages there because he's so much of his bandwidth is tied up with like designing and calling the game. So yeah, I lean Eagles for now. We'll see. And we saw again to Kyle Shanahan is, and this is smart, but he was like protecting Purdy. And I guess if you force him to not have to protect Purdy, which the Cowboys couldn't score enough to do that, then we'll see what happens. But Purdy wants to give it away. Like he wants to do something special. He wants to be Josh Allen, and the turnovers come with Josh Allen.
It is kind of crazy though that he's this confident. Like some of the throws he made in those leverage situations were
great,
lasers. Like and completely different than the throws early in the game when he actually looked tentative and slightly nervous. That was stunning. Like we keep waiting for the bottom to fall out. He's not going to let the bottom completely fall out.
The great thing about like not having a team, and I guess the bad thing about not having a team is like I never feel really like sad or broken after a weekend. But I also never feel really happy. But the bad thing is I end up like rooting against both things because like I want Jalen Hurts to win, obviously. And also like I like this Purdy story. I want it to go well. I don't want him to blow it. It's like you get stuck in those situations. The same thing is like on the other side, like I want Patrick Mahomes to limp his way back to the Super Bowl, but Joe Cool, keep it going. Like it's a tough spot to be in, but I guess it's better than feeling like the entire city of Buffalo feels today.
And I actually think it's cool this year that we have like the four clear, in my opinion, clearly the four best teams and like playing really well right now.
Right.
Which is, presumably there won't be blowouts and bad games next weekend. And maybe I'll sound like an idiot for saying that now because the NFL is weird, but the right teams are here playing the right way.
All right, so I want to get a rundown on the Australian Open. I also want to get into our bets. Is before we get to either of those things, are there any things left from the weekend that you want to ask me about, or you want to talk about, or you want to dive into?
I think let's dive in more Thursday and quick Aussie Open update.
Give it to me.
3 Americans in the final 8. We're back
for the men's
We're
side,
back.
or
on the men's side. Okay, on the men's side. On the women's side, the favorite is Jessica Pegula. I mean, tough day for Bills Mafia, but the daughter of the Bills owner might win the Australian Open.
Congratulations. Consolation prize, Bills Mafia. Yeah. I want them to all go to Australia and jump through tables and tailgate and drink shots out of bowling balls outside of the Aussie Open. I would like I'm gonna tell better you at Wimbledon though. Like I feel like Australia will be comfortable with Bills level activity. I want to go to the UK.
The Australian Open is probably the one tennis tournament where they would encourage Bills Mafia to attend in mass.
All right, give me something that I need to know about the men that are left. Why should I watch them? And then we go into our bets.
So boring angle for the tournament. Djokovic is playing incredibly well and probably going to win. But the good thing, there are 2 sons of American tennis players. Sebastian Korda, his dad, Peter Korda, won the Australian Open. He is American, but he doesn't play like an American player. He's got perfect strokes. He's like basically built off of the way Djokovic plays. The other one is Ben Shelton. Last year, he won the national championship at Florida when he was 19. He's now 20. It's his first time out of the United States. He's a 6'4" lefty. And probably the best serve left in the tournament. Incredibly explosive athlete. It's his first year on tour. He's jumped from last year outside the top 500. He's now number 42 in the world after his round of 16 win. He is fun because he's like explosive, exciting, and does crazy shit on the tennis court. So fingers crossed he makes an even deeper run.
All right, how we do on bets, and then we go Roses and Thorns.
We went 1-1. We won our tees with the Eagles and the Chiefs, betting those lines down. We did not win on Dakota going over 1.5 TDs.
Oh man, we should have gone over 1.5 interceptions. All right, Charlie, it's been fun. Thank you very much. We'll do Roses and Thorns next with everyone's favorite Foxworth.
He's so good.
How has Domonique been lately?
Bad or good?
Let's find out. This is Roses and Thorns.
All right, Roses and Thorns begins. I assume that nobody heard that cough. So Ashley's been sick, had so many COVID tests that are fortunately negative, but
I love taking COVID tests. It's like one of my favorite pastimes. And honestly, I overbought them so much back when like they were like in demand that they're probably going to go bad anyway. Is how I justify overusing them. And also like, I should know if I have COVID. We live in a house with 5 people, but what I have is my daughter's cold. Last Friday, so like over a week ago, her older siblings had sleepovers. Remember we told you my son had his first sleepover. It actually went fine. According to the mom, she might've been lying to make me feel good. But, and so I let my little one, my 6-year-old, I let her sleep in my bed with me. And Domonique was like playing Xbox downstairs and she was asleep. And I was looking at her, I was like, oh, this sweet little baby. And face to face, sharing a pillow. And then she proceeded to cough in my face for like 90 seconds. She had missed school a couple of days that week. She'd had this cough for a bit off and on, but just a cough. Again, tested her a lot, not COVID. And at like the 89th second of me just staring at her and seeing the spit fly like at close range to my face, I was like, you're going to be sick by Sunday. I was not sick by Sunday. I was sick Monday. But I think I've had it much worse than her because she's young. And I'm old and I can't
get me though. So
you have the best immune system. Like I lay up under you and you're fine. You're fine.
It's gotten stronger.
Part of my problem, I think, also what'd you say?
I think my immune system's gotten stronger as I've gotten older.
Yeah, you are so impressive. I've been taking NyQuil that expired in 2020, which also could be, but I think it probably still works. Like it knocks me out at least for 3 hours and I just wake up in coughing fits. That's my main problem is I'm tired.
$8? I could get you.
I know I don't like going to CVS. Remember, I thought about it the other day. I was like, I'm gonna go buy new medicines. And then I was like, nah, because I threw out the 2020 NyQuil after taking it 3 nights and I upgraded to a 2021 expiration date one that I also had. And so I felt like that one would be fine.
Oh gosh. Oh man. And hopefully no one gets sick from listening to this. The cough is so strong. Oh, nice mug, a heart-shaped mug.
Isn't it cute?
So Valentine-y. So you got Rose. So first of all, we've had special guests. Yeah, we've had special guests, Christina and Sarah, producers. So at some point we got to bring Audie in, the last producer, to be a special guest. But before that, I'll give you a chance to shoot me a couple quick Roses and Thorns if you got any, Ashley. Are you texting parents right now?
Arranging carpools for later. If they knew, I put masks on in the car with the kids, but people just be desperate for their kids to get places. It's like, I'm joking. Like, I'm cautious. I put my mask on. Yes, let me stop. Put my phone away. I'm done arranging carpools. I do have a rose and thorn. Okay, my rose is okay. So last week, my thorn, and actually we'll revisit that, is that I was like, you don't plan romantic things for us to do on Valentine's Day or ever, in fact. Okay. And then you were like, no, I did something this year for Valentine's Day. Yep. And I was like, what? And you were like, he was like really in his feelings and I could tell. And he was like, no, this is not the time she's going to come for me. Because I ordered her some jewelry for Valentine's Day. So I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Da-da-da. To be clear, though, my thorn was not, you don't give me things for Valentine's Day. Honestly, that could have been a thorn, but I really don't even care about that because I know, like, I have plenty of nice things. I get plenty of nice things for myself. He gets plenty of nice things for me. Like, and when I say I get them for myself, I'm staying home with the kids. And while that is a tough job, it is not a compensated one. So every time I go out and buy something for myself, the money's not coming from my, direct deposit from Disney, or the NFL in the past. So anyway, I do not worry about presents. Like I get plenty of them, whatever. That was not my thorn. My thorn was you don't plan things for me. Right. And his pushback that he ordered me something did not at all deal with my thorn, but I came
holds
because My thorn held. Exactly. That's all I wanted to come on here and say, because part of like a marriage and compromise and being a good wife, it was me being a wonderful, gracious wife, being like, you know what, babe, I see that you're actually getting in your feelings about this right now. Thank you so much. You are so great.
A bit of an overreaction, probably because it was true. It hit close to home. I was like, yeah, you're right. I don't plan shit. And
but here's my rose, though.
I hate planning stuff.
He doesn't plan stuff for us necessarily, but since last year, I don't love to travel. And like, if it were up to me for trips,
I got a thorn. I got a thorn.
Again, this segment isn't on my show, so I don't accept thorns of me. So moving on with my thorn. I don't love to travel. I recognize that's so basic of me, right? Like, I just am happy staying in DC, where I've been my whole life, where my family's been for generations. Like, I'm not really trying to leave. I'll go like to New York. I'll go to Florida, but like, I just don't like, it would be nice to travel. Like, I envision myself going on some great, like, European vacation. I said I was going to do it for my 10th anniversary. We were on our patio for our 10th anniversary because of COVID. It was 2020. And so I would like to do those things, but like, it's not like enough of a priority for me to do it. And then like our kids, like, even though they're getting older now, I still like have like PTSD from all the times that like they were horrible on trips or like on airplanes, or just like they can be unpredictable even still. So I'm just like, I don't want to go like pay a lot of money to go somewhere for them to ruin it, like with, you know, whatever antics. Remember, we have a Justin Jefferson, who I think somebody can cover, because his team, no one can cover him.
Oh no, in football, yes. He can be covered. In life.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying, so there's somebody, defense. So that analogy is not great, because somebody out there sometimes
you're saying that Justin Jefferson was covered.
What is it, cornerbacks or something, are successfully covering Justin Jefferson.
The Giants did a good job, so I'm gonna call Brian Daboll and ask him for some parenting advice.
Thank you. We need tips.
Or I guess it was defensive coordinator. So his answer to everything is blitz a lot. So we gotta rush. Well, as soon as Declan gets home, we're gonna rush him. We just rush him as soon as he walks through.
He would love that, actually. Like, he loves physical contact. He would love it if we parented like that. I can't. I would get hurt.
I am fine. But anyway, I've adjusted and accepted that you don't really like to travel, but I would like to present this to the jury.
No, I haven't even given my. I'm trying to give you a rose. Okay,
I know it's a long roundabout rose. Like, I'm just trying to. Before we got married, we went on a trip to Egypt, for like 10 plus days, and
I was sick by the last 2.
You were, and
it was a lovely trip though.
It was a little
dusty.
It was misleading, and we've been.
No, here's why he's lying.
Married, I think we went to Jamaica once, and
that's the only time we've used our passports.
Yeah, and that's it. Other than that,
13 years.
We go to Orlando.
Love Orlando.
New York, California,
you can spend
Miami,
Europe money
Puerto Rico,
like high quality safari money.
Part.
It's like, so sad. We go to Disney World, and it's like
so frustrating. Is that like we spend like South Africa.
We can't go to South Africa or Tanzania or Paris or the Amalfi Coast after we go. Yeah,
we spend Tanzanian safari money in the Magic Kingdom, and it is so stressful.
You should see all the many ears we have.
Anyway.
But so his rose though, but back to the Egypt point. No, I did not mislead you. I said very clearly, I don't want to go to Egypt.
That's fair.
I did. Do you remember why I went?
Yeah, you went because you were afraid that I was going to get arrested because I was going. Otherwise, I was going to go with one of my teammates who this was 2006, way before. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. It was. I was going to say
it was
before.
In Egypt.
Yeah, I was going to say before that marijuana laws loosened up here, but it doesn't matter. Marijuana laws have never been loose in Egypt. They are not.
Well, I don't know what Egyptian laws are like, but I've seen Locked Up Abroad, and I wasn't excited for you to be in an Egyptian prison because he had smuggled weed in with you or tried to buy some there.
I'm smarter than that. I wouldn't have been in no Egyptian prison. But anyway, I do remember that trip.
So that's why I went. I made that
trip
very
was
clear.
Nice, but I do remember that it was not it wasn't a 5-star trip. And I remember that we had an overnight train ride and you refused. Yeah, on one of them though, or was it on both of them? One of them you refused to lay on the bed.
It was so dusty because like the desert.
So
and it looked, I'm a germaphobe.
So you laid
the white
on
sheets
me.
On the train bed looked like tan, and it was not that they were supposed to be tan. It was
8-hour trip of you sleeping your entire body on top.
I did. It wasn't my entire body was on you. Thank you. You set up, I think, and my head was on you.
No. I had to lay down too. I just laid on my back.
It was a train size bed. There were supposed to be bunks, but we were on one together.
Gosh. Oh man. Anyway, all right, get to your thorn because I want Adi to teach us.
No, I didn't get to my rose. That for the second year in a row now, he's going to be planning our family spring break trip. So I don't know where it is. I'm excited.
Me either.
I think I'm responsible for grabbing us some passports because me and him and our older two, they're expired. My youngest has never had a passport in her 6 years of life. So, we're going to break her out of the country for the first time, possibly. I don't know, because I don't think he knows where it is. But I am a little nervous about going overseas because what if COVID restrictions change? But I kind of think people are just over COVID restrictions. So, it'll be fine. We can get back in. So that's your Rose.
You may not be getting back in if you don't stop coughing. All right. Can we bring
I won't
Adi
be able to go if I don't
now?
stop this cough.
Yes.
Your thorn. Okay, let me think.
I thought you already thorned me. You just brought back the thorn from
No.
last week. That was it.
No, that wasn't it. I have a thorn for you. I actually think I might have two. Honestly, can't.
Jesus.
Oh, here's one for you.
Okay.
Oh, that you don't let me kiss you on the face just because I have a cold. That really bothers me, but
Gotcha.
whatever.
I'm
But
sorry,
the
I'll
other
work on
one
that.
is that you really tried to give our 6-year-old like a sex ed lesson the other night.
I didn't. She said something ridiculous, and I thought that
I know,
was...
but then you just say, okay, and me no. So Emerson came in and started saying, I don't remember how it started. Domonique has candles in the basement where he watches football games, and he was watching football games, and maybe the candle was just lit or blown out or something. And Emerson starts saying like, are you a virgin, mommy? Daddy's not a virgin. And I'm like, oh, he's not. And I'm like, huh, though? I'm very confused. And then she's like, and I was thinking, because she had been to Sunday school, so I was like, I guess they talked about Mary, like, being a virgin. And then she was like, Avery's a virgin. Avery's our 12-year-old. Me and Deck, our 9-year-old and her, we're not virgins. I was like, whoa, what is a virgin, Emmy? And she said it was somebody who doesn't like candles. But I think before she said that, Dominique was like, do you know what a virgin is? And we assumed she was talking, like, learned about Mary. And he was like, do you know where babies come from? And I was like, okay. And she was like, mommy's waist. And I was like, Dominique, please. She's like, no. Dominique hates when children say that babies come from tummies. He has to tell them it's a uterus.
No, because they say stomach. They say stomach. It does, like, your food goes in your stomach. No babies in your stomach. Like, if you say midsection, abdomen, I'm good. Uterus, yes, let's be anatomically correct. But like stomach, no. Food goes in stomach. I don't want my baby walk around like, you have a baby in your tummy. And then she was talking about a virgin is someone who's never lit a candle. So I asked her.
Something from Hocus Pocus. And he tried to keep the I was like, okay, cool. No, we've all lit candles. And also that's not what a virgin is, but move on. But he really tried to get into the lessons. Some lessons we just don't need to have yet. Like a 12-year-old, one thing, but a 6-year-old who would then go tell her classmates, unnecessary.
I mean, they need to know too anyway. As far as candle lighting goes, I'm an expert. Adi, come teach us something.
Anything. Rescue us.
I don't know if I can come after that. You're just teaching sex ed to everybody.
I mean, I just don't like, I mean, maybe, I don't know. I feel like I don't need to lie to her. Like, whatever. She's 6. You go walk around talking, where do babies come from?
No, you can say,
I would love for her to correct an adult at that age.
Exactly.
Excuse me, it's the uterus.
You're damn right. That's what I aspire to. Is my children, when someone comes over, a grown person is uncomfortable talking about this, like it's sex. There's no reason for us to act all weird about it. No reason to make them act all weird about it. But I'm with you. She wasn't asking about it, so we didn't have to have that conversation. So maybe I should not charge through to have the conversation. But what I'm not going to do.
That's why.
I know, and that's why I did. If I would have kept pushing if it were something that mattered. But like if they asking about sex, then we're gonna talk about it. We're not gonna be like, oh, the stork magic.
Well, listen,
when you guys were young, were you guys thinking it was a stork? I never had that experience because I had like a little brother.
Yeah,
when I was little, so
I had a bunch of your little siblings. And
I was
pregnant. You'll be proud though.
Well, I had an older brother, so like he told me everything I needed to know and showed me all the videos I needed to see well before I needed to see them.
And now he wants to pay it forward to Emerson. Really quickly, you'll be proud because today in the car, like the kids, like me, the kids are really festive. So they were like, we have Valentine's Day and then we're gonna have St. Patrick's Day. And Emerson was like, last year, the leprechaun peed in my classroom's bathroom. There was green pee in it. And Declan was like, that's so dumb. Do you think he got up there and blah, 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 and stood on the toilet seat and far enough so that his wiener could, and Emerson said, I don't think it's called a wiener, Declan. Fortunately, they were getting out the car when that happened. So I don't know that she got it right. Well, I don't know if she got there,
wait
but she
till- I'm
wasn't called a wiener. So there you go.
come tell her at bedtime tonight. I'm gonna be in New York tonight, so I can't tell her face to face.
You can't. I mean, don't even say. Don't finish your sentence because
I
it's going to
can't
sound
have her-
so inappropriate.
No, I'm not. I
No,
can't
I'm
have
telling you,
walking
she
around
said
talking
it's
about
not called a
wieners.
wiener. Declan
Okay.
was trying to be like PG for her because you know,
Whatever.
like she's 6.
All right.
But they both know what it's called,
You're
and you
eating
never
up
need to
all
tell
of
her that
Adi's
it's not
teaching
called.
time.
Adi, y'all can edit
Adi,
that out.
I'm
I'm
giving
sorry.
an
Go ahead.
education.
Stop
I
saying.
should
I'm
have
done
everyone
talking to you.
everyone know that Adi has the best hair we've ever seen. So I've decided that break it out. Let it down. You gotta
Okay.
let it down and teach us about it, how you take care of it. Oh my gosh. I got questions about myself. Oh my,
Oh my God.
Ashley. I mean, I might have to leave you.
I know. Can I put a braid in front? Maybe that's making
Oh
sense.
gosh,
Oh,
this is special for the YouTube audience. If you're listening on the podcast,
Yeah.
you will not
You look
appreciate.
real sexy.
Yeah, it is very,
So
very sexy. You need a reality show.
I'm
feel
sure
like.
Ashley knows, but like after like day 2 and 3 is the best day after you've washed your hair.
Not
the
day
natural
12,
oils.
wherever I am. It's not. It's
I've
real bad.
gotten
guys.
there before because just I didn't have access to be able to wash my hair.
Oh, not because you do have plumbing,
No.
but you have a cold to refuse to wash your hair because that would make you colder.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm actually in the sense of like hygiene and the smell, and obviously your hair looks really oily. You probably want to wash it, right? But I've always been told the less you wash, the healthier.
Yes, me too.
Right. So if you can like maintain it somehow, then that's actually really healthy for your hair. I do like every 4 to 5 days.
Dirty
Okay.
hair.
I put oil in my hair. Like I always hear people say like hair gets oily, but I'm like, I want my hair to be more oily because my hair is dry. So
Yeah.
so that for me, I'm like, well, if I'm only washing my hair when it gets too oily, Evan, I ain't never gonna wash it. I wash it though sometimes anyway, just
Yeah.
because.
Sometimes.
I was raised the same way. Like I, as a kid, even my grandmother was always like, we have this. So my dad's family's from Bangladesh, so we have like coconut oil, but the specific brand called Parachute that every Bengali person knows.
Okay.
And so as a kid, always you rub the scalp, and if your hair does get long, then it's like your ends. And so I tend
The
to.
Amazon.
It's like a blue bottle, like you see it every
on Amazon looking for it.
Yeah, it's like nostalgia. But at least every 3rd day before I wash, I'll oil and then braid, and then the next day wash it. And
What's your Instagram?
So you're 4. So you wash
Baga-
every 4. You said that 4 to 5 days.
yeah, about every
Yeah,
4 to 5 days.
Put it out there. I mean,
It's a Baga Khan, BAGHA.KHAN.
all right.
Baga.
He's in preparation. He's a Patriots fan, so
He does some
if
do
that
like
offends
hair
you.
stuff on his Instagram too.
Yeah.
Your hair is magnificent. I feel like I need to buy some of that stuff. Maybe it'll help me out. Maybe I
I
also
thought you
should.
meant some of his hair.
You gotta buy.
You said buy
I
some. of
used
his-
to when I
Are you
used to live
selling
in
it?
New York. I lived in Harlem for like a hot minute, and all the time getting offered. The highest offer I got was $2,500
I was gonna buy your hair off you for
Yeah,
$2,500
because it's virgin Indian hair, basically.
What does
to
virgin hair mean? You've never
It's
lit a
never
candle
been
with it?
colored, never been touched, nothing.
Oh,
This
okay.
grow, I've obviously trimmed it, but this specific grow is like 10 years old.
Wow.
And so, especially back when I was living, maybe this is when it was like 5 or 6 years, like 2015, 16, I'd be in Harlem, and people were offering me money all the time. And I was just like, I started to get worried that someone was going to actually cut it. I'm not joking. Like that shit's real. Like I was like so paranoid because I always used to I keep it tied up. I'd be like walking to the gym or something, watching my back because I wasn't sure. Like, you know,
Oh gosh.
get
That's
jumped
pretty
for my
funny.
hair.
Oh, man.
Or when I was in Chelsea, I'd have a bunch of people always telling me like, "Oh, you need to take care of your hair." But like New York is like hardcore about hair. LA, I don't feel that type of pressure, but when I was in New York, I was on top of my hair so hard. Like I
Like,
didn't
what more could you do to it than what you do now?
just pay more attention. Like like I'm always checking the ends because and the big thing too I always get is people want to touch it and they won't ask. I'm not like the
Play
biggest
that Solange song, "Don't Touch My
yeah
Hair."
yeah
That needs to be your
I
your,
used to
like,
play
theme.
that song all the time in my head because it's, and it's always like white men and women. And it used to happen in clubs all the time. Like I'd just be like, I'm not a big person. I'm like 5'7". So
Really? You look so tall to me
I know.
on
I always
Instagram.
disappoint everybody. I remember
I
like
would have guessed you were like
everybody with
6'4".
work. Whenever I meet up with everybody at work, like
What?
they're like, dude, we thought you were like 6 feet. I'm not. I stand tall.
Why
I
do
got
you
good
look so
posture.
tall?
Good posture. My
Yeah.
You have
dad-
tall guy energy.
Confident.
I'm
Yeah, he's
talking-
confident.
Yeah, I got Leo rising. So
Okay, I'm gonna sit up straight. Do I look taller?
Oh man.
Yeah, you just
Oh.
got yeah.
Okay.
But so basically it's just keeping, I guess, like clean, but at the end of the day, you don't want to dry it out either.
Now, does everyone in your family just have hair like that though? if so,
My
then it's no
sisters, I got
tips.
the best hair I think out of my siblings. So
If you're
I'm
gonna say so. My
I'm-
brother got the best hair out of his
Yeah.
siblings too.
like
that's an
It's all
inside
girls
joke.
and him.
obviously.
It's so
Yeah.
pretty.
That's so
I'm the
mean.
eldest, but my brother and sister are already graying. Like my sister's
already
got total
gray?
yeah, or graying. Yeah, pretty hard. My
Ooh,
sister's got,
Domonique
like,
will be
big ass
jealous.
rogue streak.
Okay.
Although Domonique saw some gray hair the other day that he said did not. I'm not going to say who because we don't want to be rude to people. But he saw some gray hair on a coach the other day who, for the first time,
It
he
was
thought it didn't look
patchy.
nice.
It was
So
patchy. I didn't like the patchy. Like if you mix in salt and pepper, that's fine. Or you go all ice white, I'm with you. But when it's like a splotch of gray and then the rest of it's black, it just looked weird to me, like a continent. I
Oh,
don't know.
people find that sexy. That's what I mean by the rogue streak. Like, especially if you start.
No,
like,
no,
right here.
it wasn't like the rogue
Yes.
streak. So
Oh, yeah.
it was
Oh,
like
it's just a patch. Like,
yeah, it was like he had short hair. It was like
yeah.
short, and so just like a circle right here, a circle
Yeah.
right there, and it was like all white in that circle, and then black everywhere else, and it
Yeah.
just looked like a globe. And I was like, nah, we can't do that.
He's got to like
I'm gonna just
Rodman
dye it
it or
all the way
something.
white. Yeah, just
Yeah.
go ahead and white it
so
out.
if my hair comes in like that, are you gonna be mad if I dye it dark?
It can't come in like that because your hair is so long. It would just be streaks like Rogue, which is I'm fine with that.
It's not
All
coming in at all because every time I see some, it's like it is coming in. I just pull it, and then I have little short gray hairs, which then like stick up inevitably anytime I try to like put my hair back.
Aren't
or
you
straighten it.
worried more will grow? We used to be told if you like pull one,
That's
you
got to be
regrow.
fake.
Yeah, that seems like a wives' tale.
I've decided that's fake.
Yeah.
But I don't know that. But I also, Domonique, have you noticed I've been taking vitamins recently?
No,
my
I
liquid
haven't.
vitamin?
I saw that. I didn't know what that was for. What is that? Nonsense?
Because I saw it advertised on Instagram and they said after 3 bottles, her gray hair started being black
that's
again. I said, Ron
something-
needs that
yeah.
vitamin.
That sounds stupid. So stupid.
Well,
Well,
we'll find out.
I do take, so I take a lot of supplements. That's one thing I do.
Okay.
And
You
then
take
the-
what?
A lot of
Supplements.
supplements. And then for hair specifically, though, I know biotin, iron, and D3 are so important.
It doesn't have any of those in it. No, it
Yeah.
has a lot of things though. And it was like, these things are necessary. What we found is people with gray deficiency or with
Gray is
these
not a
vitamin
deficiency.
with these vitamin deficiencies are more likely to have gray hair. So that's not going to be my problem because I'm going to, after 3
I don't have
bottles of
enough
this
gray
stuff,
hair.
have
Fox,
all
are
of
you
those
ever worried
vitamins.
about, do you have gray in your beard yet? I don't think.
Yeah, I
I've
got a
ever
little
seen-
bit.
Yeah.
I got a little bit. Not enough. I need some more gray. It's coming eventually. I'm sick of Ashley and these vitamin drinks.
Vitamin A, vitamin D3, omega fatty acids. The thing is, they're all vitamins that I've heard people say I should take anyway. So
Yeah, you
Okay,
should
cool.
take it and
Sounds like a
eat
fun
healthy
plan.
and nutritious at the same time. But I think
so you
stress,
feel like eating healthy and nutritious is going to help me have less gray hair?
yeah, and I think stress management, because I had gray hair when I was in grad school, and then once I left, I haven't had another gray hair, and there was like a little bit of like prickly for a second, and then the minute I got out of that stressful, horrible
Really?
situation,
You were taking Mary Ruth's vitamins, weren't you? Yes.
I'm actually.
I know
yeah,
your
paid
secret. Don't
sponsor.
lie.
A paid
Don't lie.
sponsor.
Call Brian Dable and figure out how to cover the situation so I can reduce my
got it.
stress. That is where all my stress comes from.
Brought it full circle.
Thank you. Look at you. Such a great football mind.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Mary
Can we wrap
Ruth's
it up
and-
now? Or
yeah.
you guys still, this feels like a personal conversation now. You guys want to
I'm
chat
sorry.
about
It
vitamins?
has
We
long
should
been a personal.
let everybody
Dominique, no
go.
offense, but every time I come on here, it is a
Yeah.
personal conversation. Like,
That's
what
fair.
value
It's normally
add
it's
to
And the
the
any
point
people
is
discourse?
love it though. The people
Yeah.
love it. The comments
don't
are
know.
hilarious. You
it's-
guys are
the
at least
personal
like us.
Yeah, I don't read comments, and Ashley shouldn't. I sure hope she doesn't, but I know she probably does.
No, I stopped
Good.
because I remember one time I said on here
Somebody
that I
was not
do,
nice
and
to
I
you.
want to correct grammar because somebody who was being real mean, not even directly to me, but to you. And like, I would rather someone be mean to me than to you. You're my husband. Like, I am not like a. This is gonna sound so awful. I was gonna say I'm not like a ride or die. I'm riding or dying. But like, I've never been in a real fight. I hardly even get in arguments. But okay, I do get in arguments, but only with people I know. I don't get in that many arguments, Domonique.
I know you don't.
I can have a spicy
Perfect.
mouth on me, but I've gotten better at controlling it. But when people say bad things about my husband, which I've addressed on here before, it just really like hurts me because it's like he is fucking phenomenal and you just aren't lucky enough to know.
The birth of Roses and Thorns is that I said something not nice about Russell Wilson, and you were like, "But his wife."
Yeah, that was really rude. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I did not like it at all. You should never talk about someone negatively.
I don't anymore. All positive here. Can I go now?
It's all love.
You know, that's
It's
a
all
lesson
love.
my dad taught me that I used to hate. When we were little and like it's 4 kids, the oldest 3 are girls. So it'd be like 3 girls, the boy was a baby or not even born yet. And we would be like wanting to vent about stuff at school. And like we would say something negative. My mom, she's really nice too, but she wouldn't like shut us down. Like this person, but it's like somebody who did something to us and we would say something negative. He wouldn't be listening to you the whole conversation. He'd be like zoned out the whole dinner conversation. And he would just hear enough to be like, I don't know what negative thing I might have said as a little child, but whatever I said, you don't say that about somebody. You don't talk about, and like, he's very much like that still. And so I find myself
doesn't stop you guys from saying mean things about him.
We don't say mean things about him.
Y'all crushing my man just because he getting
Okay,
a
I actually do
little
have
old. Just because he's getting a little old, you crushing my man.
No,
Leave
we
my man
don't.
alone.
My
He getting a
kids
little
did.
old,
They were
and
doing
you
their
giving him
Sunday
the
school
blues.
packets. This is what he's talking about. My dad, he is great. He's not even 70 yet. He's 69. He just beat prostate cancer. But my kids know this. And so, but he's like, thinks he's so young and like he jogs every day still. Like his knee, sometimes he has a little knee issue, but it's, I think, better. I don't know, but he's in great health. But my kids are doing their Sunday school packets. We're Catholic, and the older two have the same packet because they're like close enough to the same age range, and they were doing it together. And so they were like helping each other come up with answers, kind of cheating, but whatever. Don't tell the church. God knows. But it's okay. They're still gonna be Catholics. And one of the questions was like, name someone who you know who like exemplifies each of these different sacraments. So one was like, name someone who you know who is a priest, after it talked about like the rite of like becoming a priest or whatever. And one of them put Martin Luther King. Avery was like, well, he's not Catholic, so he didn't do this. But anyway, for the one about somebody who's married, they put us. For anointing of the sick, which they explain is a sacrament that's for elderly or really sick people, they put my father. And I wasn't going to tell him because I thought it would offend him, but I showed it to my siblings and my mom, and my mom was laughing so hard. She had to tell him, but she said she couldn't even get it out through all the laughter. So that's it. I'm not mean. I didn't send it to him. I make the man biscuits all the time. I'm a gem of a daughter. Anyway, you're right. This went off the rails to a very personal conversation like 10 minutes ago. I'm sorry. Honestly, probably 20.
No problem. It was fun. I mean, it's not like it's the most important time of the football season or anything.
I know. I told him. I said, you know what? I think you need to focus on playoff football. Yeah. So, we shouldn't talk tomorrow.
There's the Bill Bond World podcast. Mina Kimes has one. We got a little bit of football. You want more football? Go listen to that. You want to have some fun.
And you were dropping football gems the whole time too.
Brian Daboll. Exactly. I'm not forgetting that name.
Yeah, you brought up Justin Jefferson, Brian Daboll. All right. Appreciate you, Adi. You're the man. Thanks for joining and helping us out.
I'm going to get my hair like yours soon.
That hair. Protect that hair.
Keep scissors far away. That's what I say.
Thank you, Christina Buswell and Sarah Abbott. And also, Charlie, you're the man. All right. See you guys on Thursday.
Take care.
See you guys next Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.